بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. ما بعد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل يا عبادي الذين أسرفوا على أنفسهم لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. My dear respected brothers and elders and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, we thank Allah Ta'ala that first Allah has given us health and wealth, and He gave us the blessing of Iman. And Alhamdulillah, we are restarting our Halaqah series as well. We thank Allah Ta'ala for these blessings. We make dua to Allah that He accepts it from us, He accepts our Ramadan, He accepts our Eid, and He keeps us in afiyah and His happiness till the day that we pass away. And He makes the best day of our life the day that we meet Him, inshallah Ta'ala. So this discussion, which we titled it Post-Ramadan Crash, because I think everyone feels it. Everyone experiences it right after Ramadan. And this is something I want to break it up to a couple of things. The first part is going to be about understanding, and then it's going to be about resolving it. Because a lot of the things is that we just don't understand what's happening, okay? And if we understand it, then things will make a lot of sense. If we just understand what's happening, then things will make a lot of sense. And thereafter we can resolve it, meaning we can figure out solutions, and we can get through this, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, so let's get into it, inshallah. So I wanted first to give this example for everyone. Okay, so a guy is driving a car, and it's dark, and he sees there's no one on the road. So what he does is he sees a stop sign, but he completely ignores the stop sign and just keeps going. Okay, so he's driving, and then the stop sign comes, but he completely misses the stop sign, and he keeps going. So what happens is, well, on his right side, a car comes out of nowhere. Okay, and so the car comes, and then you know what's going to happen next. A crash happens. Okay, so I want you to remember those two things that he did. Number one is that he neglected the stop sign. Second thing, a car came out of nowhere. And this is what happens to us, why we crash after Ramadan. Exact same thing. How so? Because Shaitaan was waiting to get out of his prison for quite some time. A month's time to be exact. He was looking for the moon as much as you and I were looking for the moon. Okay, he was waiting for it to come out as well, because he needed to get out. And so he is the car that comes out of nowhere. And we didn't realize that on the same night of Eid, the night before Eid, the same night that you and I were enjoying ourselves and becoming happy that tomorrow we're going to celebrate Eid, the same exact night Shaitan was planning and plotting how to get us back into sins and how to get us out of these good deeds. Okay, so we actually collide with Shaitan. We crash right into him. The same way the person he crashed into the car, we collide straight into Shaitan. Okay, so we want to remember that. And how does he make us crash into him? The Prophet ﷺ said, "Innal ghadaba min ash-shaytan." And I think people might have noticed this, that we've gotten really angry. Like anger just came out of nowhere. We were so calm and relaxed in Ramadan, but then immediately after Eid came, the entire world seemed like it went up in flames. Literally, the entire world seemed like it went up in flames. Okay. And so we'll talk about that in a bit later, inshallah. But I want everyone to be aware that we just got angry because the Prophet ﷺ said, "Innal ghadaba min ash-shaytan." The Prophet ﷺ said anger is from Shaitan. And the type of anger the Prophet ﷺ he's not talking about that permissible anger that a person will have in Sharia, and where they get angry for the sake of Allah, angry for the Prophet ﷺ. Those are permissible angers, right? Or like someone says something wrong about Islam, you get upset. That's jaiz anger, that's permissible anger. In terms of uncontrollable anger that makes you commit sins. Like I got upset at my wife for some weird reason, or my children, and I just like, why am I getting all this anger? Where is all this anger coming from? That's what Shaitan wants, so that you commit a sin. Because when a person gets really, really angry, they're not even going to get up to pray anymore. I think we might have noticed it. When a person gets really upset and frustrated, they can't even get up to go make salah. Because they're just so angry. Even if their wife were to tell them it's Isha time, like, forget about Isha, I'm not doing Isha. That's how angry people get. So Shaitan wants that. He wants that reaction. So that's the crash with Shaitan. Now, if that's the crash with the other car, then what was the stop sign that we missed? The stop sign that we missed was the signs that Allah has told us about ourselves. The same way you read the stop sign, you understand something that I'm supposed to stop. The same way Allah has told us many things. And we should have stopped when Allah told us to stop, but we don't understand these things. In other words, imagine like someone who didn't know English and they read the word stop. Could they read stop? They don't even know what it says. They have no idea what it meant. Imagine someone taught them the entire life stop meant go. What kind of musibah would that person be in? Imagine they saw the red light as like red light means go and green light means stop. This is exactly what happens to you and I because we don't understand. We're not understanding the situation. We're not understanding what it really means to be a Muslim. What does Iman mean? What are these things? Like what does it mean to have Islam and Iman? And we'll talk about those things as well, inshallah. So I want everyone to acknowledge these two things. Number one is that Shaitan comes and collides with us. Okay? And then the second thing is that we don't seem to understand the reality of things around us. We don't seem to understand our Iman and Islam. And so what happens is Shaitan actually, he craves that. He looks for that. Those misunderstandings you and I have about Ramadan, about Iman, about faith, about belief, all those things. He craves it and he looks at these things and he starts to create these false hopes in us. Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, وَلَا أُمَنِّيَنَّهُمْ, I will make them have false hopes. I will make them have false hopes. I'll make them have, I think you need to have glasses on. I think you come into your eyes, you know. Allah Ta'ala knows. Okay, sure. So he plants false ideas. What Shaitan does, he plants false ideas in our heads. And he makes it like almost imperative, makes it like an amr, makes it fard for you to listen to him. Okay? So what are these false ideas? There are three impossible ideas if I were to summarize it, because I get these questions, I think, every year after Ramadan. Okay? So I want everyone to remember these three things. So it might relate to you and I as well. What is it? Number one is that someone says that whatever I did in Ramadan, I'm going to do outside Ramadan. Okay? That's the first thing people say. So I read this much Quran, I'm going to do the same thing outside Ramadan. This is the first idea. Shaitan, we think we can, and Shaitan's like, yeah, you definitely can. You same way you're Ramadan Muslim, you can be Ramadan outside of it too. You can do that. That's the first thing Shaitan tells us. Second thing Shaitan tells us is what? Now you're forever a pious person. You'll never commit a sin anymore. Okay? I'll never commit a sin again. That's what a person feels after Ramadan. I'm so pious right now. I'm a religious high. I'm really up there, you know? And I'm never coming down. I'll never come down again. And so that's the second thing Shaitan tells us, that I'll never make mistakes anymore. And then the third thing that Shaitan tells us is, once you actually commit a sin, you're such an evil person. How could you? Ramadan was so great. You were so great. Just give up. Just stop praying. Just forget it. You don't need it. You're never going to become pious. How many Ramadans you had? 20, 30, 40, 50? You're not a good guy. Just give up. Let it go. That's his ultimate goal. He just wants us to stop doing actions. So these three things. Number one is I can maintain everything from Ramadan. Number two is I never make mistakes anymore. I'm never going to make a mistake anymore. And the third thing is I'm such an evil guy. Like, how can I make mistakes? And then that person just breaks down inside. Internally, they break down. So Shaitan starts to overload us with things that we have no control over. Okay, and I'll explain that in a second. So let's talk about the first one. I can maintain everything from Ramadan. Let's break it down. Because I want everyone to understand. Once you understand that these three ideas are completely wrong, life will start to become easier and you can start to breathe again the way a Muslim is supposed to breathe after Ramadan. Okay? You can breathe after the crash. You can get up again. Okay, so the first one, I can maintain everything from Ramadan. Can you maintain everything from Ramadan? You can't. You can't. It's impossible. Why is it impossible? Ramadan comes as a special guest from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every year. It's a special guest from Allah. Allah sends it down. Allah ta'ala brings the months, right? Allah ta'ala brings Ramadan. You and I don't have a choice in that. You can't just say, I want Shawwal to be Ramadan. You can't say, I want Dhul Qa'dah to be Ramadan. I can't want March or May or February or September or whatever, Jupiter, whatever, stupid, whatever you want to. You can't make whatever you want to be Ramadan. It's not going to work like that. Allah decides when the month is. Okay, so it's a special season. The special season has special blessings. What are the blessings of Ramadan? If you perform one fard, it's equal to 70. Does Shawwal have that? Dhul Qa'dah? No. No month in the year has that blessing. If you perform a nafil in Ramadan, it's equal to a fard. You pray 2 rakats, it's equal to a fajr. It's amazing in Ramadan, but that doesn't exist outside Ramadan. So one, the blessings are gone. You can't get that. And that feeling that you can do ibadah is because Shaitan is locked up. Is Shaitan locked up now? No, he's out. So that's why a person can't do what they do in Ramadan. And the third reason is what? And you probably noticed this. The Shawwal fast, how easy are they? They're really hard. They're legitimately hard. Even if you did them right after Eid, the Fajr became so difficult. Fajr was the easiest prayer in Ramadan, correct? And Dhuhr was the hardest prayer, right? Because you had to wake up for Dhuhr. But in outside of Ramadan, it's like Fajr became so difficult again. I can't seem to wake up. Even you want to do suhoor, you're like, forget it. I'm just going to eat at 12 a.m. and go to sleep and just wake up and just, fast for 15, 20, 33 hours, whatever. Fasting for this many hours. Because it became so difficult.
And so it's something that and I think this is a miracle of Allah Ta'ala. Ramadan was designed like that. It's something as a miracle for Muslims that you should acknowledge, like there is something. There's a different air, right? The air even felt different in Ramadan because it's like a fragrance from Jannah. You're not going to get that any other time of the year. So what people need to first understand is you could never be like that in Ramadan. The way you were in Ramadan, you can never be like that outside of it. Mawlana Tami rahmatullahi alayhi, he said so beautifully. When someone asked him, it's like, Sheikh, you guys are reading like so many khatams in Ramadan. Didn't the Prophet ﷺ say if you're going to do something, do it consistently? You're doing something wrong. Like they're telling the Sheikh, you're doing it wrong. Sheikh's like, really? It's like, then the guy, he told him to wait, and then it's one of those long discussions. But in any case, eventually the Sheikh answers him and says, okay, listen, the actions we're doing in Ramadan, we don't have intention to do the entire year. Did anyone make a niyyah that then whatever I do in Ramadan, I'm going to do it for the rest of my life? No, it's only exclusive to Ramadan. The Prophet ﷺ said that action that you are making intention, you're going to do it regularly. That's the action the Prophet ﷺ was talking about. But in Ramadan, he's like, no one made a niyyah. He's like telling everyone there, he's like, no one made a niyyah here that we're going to do this for the rest of our lives. This is just exclusively for Ramadan. Because that's what a person should understand. That Quran you're going to read in Ramadan, it felt so easy. It really felt so easy. You felt like you can read juz after juz after juz and sitting down. But now after Ramadan, it's just so hard to even pick up the Quran now. Acknowledge it. Be real with yourself. Honestly, be real with yourself. You cannot fake your deen. You can't fake your Islam. You got to be real. Be real with yourself. I can't do what I did in Ramadan. Now the second one is even more serious, which is what? I can never make mistakes anymore. A person comes out with this idea that I'm a pious muttaqi, I reached a high level, I'm like Jibreel alayhi salam now, and I'm never coming down again. Are they like Jibreel alayhi salam? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would disagree with you. If you thought I can never make mistakes anymore, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would disagree with you. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Kullu bani Adam khatta'un. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, all of the children of Adam alayhi salam are sinners. The Prophet said, every single one of us is gunagar. From our essence, we are sinners. You cannot strip that away from us. It's built into us that we're going to make mistakes. You probably heard this famous story about Hanzala radiallahu anhu, that like he when he was with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his iman, like he said in the hadith, he's like, whenever we were with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Hanzala radiallahu anhu would say that we felt like we could see Jannah and Jahannam. That's how real they became. But then when we left the company of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when we sat with our families, enjoyed with our kids, he's like, my iman went down. And he became really nervous. It's hadith of Muslim. He's like, I became really nervous and I realized that I'm not a real Muslim because my iman never stays the same. So he ran out in the streets saying, Nafaqa Hanzala, Nafaqa Hanzala. Hanzala has become munafiq. Hanzala has become a hypocrite. He's going around the street screaming it. He's like, I've become munafiq. Everyone, I'm a hypocrite. I'm a hypocrite. I want you and I to try to do that. Whenever you commit a sin, just go on the streets like, I'm a total jerk. I'm a scumbag. Just go around. You can't. But like, subhanAllah, they were so real. Like, so then Abu Bakr hears him and says, what's wrong with you, Hanzala? Hanzala says, this is what happens, we're with the Prophet, our iman is like this, and then when we're away from the Prophet, our iman goes down, and I feel like a munafiq, I'm a hypocrite. My iman doesn't stay the same. So Abu Bakr goes and he talks to Hanzala, he's like, what are you talking about, man? And then finally when he hears Hanzala radiallahu anhu's explanation, Abu Bakr is like, yo, I'm like that too. I'm also like that. My iman also goes down after being with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they both go to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and say, Ya Rasulullah, we both became munafiq. Abu Bakr saying it. So the Prophet ﷺ looking at Hanzala and he's smiling and he says, oh Hanzala, if your iman stayed the same the entire time, the angels will come down and give salam to you because they would think that you were their brother. Because the only beings in all of creation that iman stays the same is angels. As for human beings, we're on a roller coaster all the time. So the Prophet ﷺ said there's a time for this and a time for this. There's a time for when you have high iman and a time you have low iman. When's the time we have super high iman? Time of the year, Ramadan. Outside Ramadan, you're going to go down. You're going to go down naturally. So this is a delusion. This is a ghurur. And why am I calling it delusion? Why are we deluded here? Because Shaitaan has a secondary objective. Shaitaan has a secondary plan. When you say, I will never make a mistake again, okay? There's a feeling that my Ramadan was perfect. Right? Like if I said that after Ramadan, I won't make any mistakes. It's as if you felt like you made a flawless Ramadan. So I didn't screw up in Ramadan. I say I didn't screw up in Ramadan. I made everything right in Ramadan. So that means therefore, everything else, my entire life, since Ramadan was perfect, my entire life will be perfect. Was your Ramadan and my Ramadan, was it perfect? Was it really perfect? Honestly speaking, was it really perfect? It was not. Okay? Was it? How do we know? Because we have to ask the question. Was it on the level that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deserves? Did you do any ibadah in anyone's life? Any prophet? Has any prophet ever done an ibadah that this is befitting of Allah, of his grandeur, of his might, of his power, of his majesty? Have we worshipped Allah like we see him? Have we actually performed Ramadan like that? Imam Ghazali rahimahullah ta'ala said, just give you an idea. The fasting of the elite, he said, the fasting of the khawas, of the super pious, is that when they fast the entire day, they consider the fast to be broken when they stop thinking about Allah Ta'ala for a single moment. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. He said the fasting of normal people is that when they eat or drink or whatever, then their fasting breaks. He said the fasting of the pious people is that when they forget to do tasbih in the day, they consider the fast broken. And he said that the highest people of Allah Ta'ala's deen is that when they even forget about Allah for a moment, they say the fasting is broken. Are you and I even close? Honestly, we were so worried about Corona, about the virus and everything. Throughout Ramadan, we were checking the stats, we were looking at news. We were so busy with other things. Let's be honest with ourselves. Was it really a flawless Ramadan? Shaitan does not only want to snatch your good deeds in the year. Shaitan actually has another objective. What is it? He wants to snatch your Ramadan. How can he take the Ramadan away from you and I? He makes you believe, he makes you think that your ibadah was really good. Okay? Because once you think you are good, that means you have some arrogance. Like, my ibadah was really, really special. Like this Maulana saying about Jahannam and stuff, but I prayed that Ramadan. I'm not going to Jahannam. You know, like, come on, he's totally lying right now, you know? Because I feel that arrogance. And who had that arrogance way back in history? Iblis. I'm not going to say alayhi salam, right? La'anahullah, Allah curse him, right? It said Iblis was the first one to have this arrogance, and he just wants us to have arrogance about our worship too. So that feeling that you and I thought that Ramadan was perfect, who's making that happen? Who's generating that? Shaitan is. Your shaitan that's with you is telling you, your Ramadan was so great, bro. How can you become lower than that? Okay? So he makes you think, in Ramadan I was like this, and now I'm like this. I'm like two different people now. But you were always the same. You were always the same. What changed? What changed was Allah Ta'ala. Meaning Allah Ta'ala's connection with you changed. In Ramadan, it was a deep connection. You felt it because you have a deep connection with Allah in Ramadan. Everyone feels it, okay? Now I want to ask everyone, just really quick, when did the protests and riots start? Was it in Ramadan? It's after Ramadan, right? When did the heat start? After Ramadan. When Allah Ta'ala says Hudal Nas, it's a guidance for mankind about Ramadan, Allah Ta'ala really meant it that it's about the entire world. Everyone just seems like they're more guided within Ramadan. Okay? The feeling that you get from Allah Ta'ala within Ramadan is only from Allah. You and I, if Ramadan wasn't there, would we be the same? We'd definitely be the same. You know, inside, outside Ramadan, we'd be the same. But Allah Ta'ala brings down Ramadan and we get the special feeling from Him. It's only because of Allah Ta'ala allowing us to benefit. So what happens is this. Okay, so I'll give you the example of, what's a good example? Let's give the example of a dog, right? A dog, right? So there are certain sounds that you and I cannot hear with our ears, right? Certain high-pitched sounds, frequencies, right? But if you blow that dog whistle, the dog can hear it, right? So Allah Ta'ala sometimes what He does is, like, and same thing with like jinns, right? Jinns exist on a different frequency, a different spectrum, right? People like Mawla Osman can see them regularly, but you and I, we can't really see them, right? But like, you know, like, so there's a spectrum that you and I can see in, right? But imagine like Allah Ta'ala said, all right, you know what? I'm going to increase the spectrum. So now you can start to see like infrared or microwave, right? You can start seeing different waves, right? So now you're going to see like ajib things, like a lobster. A lobster can see like all these different frequencies. You and I cannot even perceive those things, right? Because they're like invisible. So what Allah Ta'ala does in Ramadan is, there's always a barakah coming down from Allah. Always a barakah coming down from Allah. But you and I can't sense it. So what Allah Ta'ala does in Ramadan is like, all right, I'm going to expand your senses a little bit. So now you can feel it, okay? So even the kafirin feel it. That's why these protests and stuff happen literally right after Ramadan. Because once Shaitan got full round, he's like, I'm going to take everyone on a ride right now, right? So that's what happens, you know? Ramadan is a blessing for everyone. So now, but if we really, and this is what I want everyone to remember, if we really understood Allah Ta'ala, we really understood the blessings of the nights, we understood the blessings of the day. One sheikh said so beautifully. He told someone, he said, oh Khaja, what are these signs of the night of power? What is this Laylatul Qadr you're looking out for? He goes and says so beautifully, he says, every night is a night of Qadr if you know its worth. I love that so much. He said, if you knew every night's value, every night would be Laylatul Qadr to you. Okay, every night would be Laylatul Qadr to you. The Prophet ﷺ said that if my Sahaba were to give a handful of dates in the path of Allah, they would get the reward of Mount Uhud. You and I are thinking 70 times, right? But because the Sahaba's hearts were so pure, everything that they did was greater than Ramadan. Can you imagine that? Just giving you a perspective about ikhlas, sincerity. You and I can retain it too. You know, like Allah can multiply your actions by 1,000, 1,000,000, if you just purify your intention. So literally every single night can be more beloved than Laylatul Qadr. And every single day, every single second can be more beloved than the days of Ramadan. But you and I are not sensitive, spiritually sensitive to that. So this is what we want to remember, that we will make mistakes because of the fact that we were designed like that, we were built like that, we're children of Adam alayhi salam. And the second thing is that in Ramadan, we were just on a higher level of spirituality. Just a higher level of spirituality, we're just going to come down again, okay? And then the final one that I want everyone to think about is this, is that when a person says, and this is what happens, so this is normally what happens, within a week's time, Shaitaan will make you commit a sin. Shaitaan will make you commit a sin within maybe 2 weeks' time. And the sins, again, are various. They can sometimes be open sins, like zina, or the fact that someone said, I'm not going to talk to so-and-so girl or boy, whatever, and then they end up talking again and then something happens, right? Or the fact that they will leave cigarettes, or they'll leave drinking, they'll leave this and this. People have all these different things, right? That I'm going to leave this, I'm not going to do this anymore. And so, and even like smaller things like at the home, right? I became so angry and so upset, and I ended up like, yelling at my children or shouting at my wife, or like, the opposite happened where the wife yelled at the husband, or like I cursed out this family member. So many things happen, right? I used this bad word. So many things happen, right? And so then what happens is what? That feeling, or the most common one, which I hear all the time, is that I miss Fajr. I miss Fajr, right? It's like, I prayed Fajr for 30 days and now I missed Fajr, right? So I'm such an evil person. So you wake up after Fajr, after missing it, and you're like, oh God, the sun is coming up, the sun hits you, right? And Shaitaan literally, and I don't know if you had the experience, but he'll wake you up at the time when Fajr just ended. Like if it was at 5:23 or something, whatever, right? He wake you up at 5:23, just so he can see it and rub it in your face, like, because he makes you go to sleep. So then what does he do after that? You're like, man, I was such a pious guy. How could I do it? What's wrong with me? And then you get really depressed, and then you say, I should just give up. I'm not going to try this stuff anymore. I don't want to try this religion anymore because this religion is too hard. So his goal was what? His goal from the beginning is just to make you stop doing actions. Whatever way he can get to that goal, he'll make it happen. Okay, he has a plan in mind. My plan is he has to stop doing that worship that he used to do. Whatever way he can do it, either tell you that Ramadan is it should be like Ramadan the entire year. I never make mistakes, or he'll make you commit a sin to tell you just to give up. Okay, but remember this for everyone here. This is a misconception. It's delusion. You and I are like that by design. By design, we make mistakes. By design, you were going to slip up. By design, that's just how it was. Allah made us like that. And I always give the example about like a person who has like like the phone, right? Like for example, this phone, right? The OnePlus 6, right? I've had this phone for like a couple of years, and it's starting to slow down. It's like it's a super fast phone, and now it's starting to slow down. You probably noticed it with your iPhones too, because the manufacturer makes this system where it starts to break down eventually. Because if you had the same phone, like the Nokia phone, way back then, right? That Nokia phone still works today. Why? Because the manufacturer didn't make it in such a way that it will start to malfunction, start to break down on its own. They made it that it will last. Same thing with the Nintendo GameCube. That thing is a brick, right? Like it still works today. People still have their GameCube and it still works. I'm just giving examples for the kids, right? These things still work today. But whereas our phones of today, they are designed to malfunction, they're designed to break down. In a similar way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us in a way that we're going to break down. Something in life will happen. Something will slip up. Because why? The Prophet ﷺ said that the best of those who sin are the ones who make tawbah. Allah ta'ala wants us to make tawbah. Okay? So now let me explain why it happens, so that people can relax. Okay? Why did it end up that I ended up slipping? Why did it end up that I ended up making a sin? Number one is you're physically exhausted. You are physically exhausted. After Ramadan, we don't realize fatigue. We've been out and doing ibadah with very little sleep. How much sleep did you get in Ramadan? Honestly speaking, nighttime sleep. Not even 1 hour sometimes. Sometimes nights went without any sleep. Right? And nighttime sleep is really important because there's a lot of barakah in that sleep. Daytime sleep will never match it. Never. It never matches. It never feels the same, right? If you sleep at night, it feels good. When you sleep in the day, it doesn't feel the same. You are physically exhausted after Ramadan. You're physically exhausted after Ramadan. It just happens because you're just tired. Your body is worn out. You don't realize it. So the strain on the body, the stress on the mind is there. So Shaitaan actually capitalizes on that. So he hasn't been there for 30 days, right? Then he comes back randomly. So it's like that Facebook friend that you deleted and then randomly just pops up again. He just comes back again. He starts texting you again. He starts speaking to you again. You're not used to his waswasa. You're not used to him speaking. So you're not used to him telling you, hey, by the way, just click on this. Hey, by the way, just click on that. Then you end up in something really haram. We don't realize because we haven't seen him for such a long time. That's the second reason. The third reason is what? We've been locked up in quarantine for so long. This is something that's unique to our time in 2020, that we've been so tired of like being at home. Why are these protests so massive? Why are these protests so massive? Part of it is the reason because people are frustrated about a person's death. Admittedly so. Admittedly so. Another reason is just people are just happy to just be outside. I mean, I'm not going to judge anyone's ikhlas here, but I think like a lot of people are just like, oh wow, I can just get out of the home. Even the UK is copying it. That's our problem. Australia's copying, because why? Because people are just tired of being at home for 2 months. Like that's even longer than Shaitaan's lockdown. Come on, like, people are just tired. Legitimately, they're just tired. Like, okay, let's just go outside. And then so I, put these things together, physical exhaustion, strain on the mind. And then the second thing is what? Shaitan starts telling you, hey, by the way, you can just do all your haram stuff again. And then you're like locked up in quarantine, just go outside and just do whatever, And then he ends up screwing with you so hard, so you get tired in the day. And then finally when you go to sleep, he makes you miss Fajr. Because your body is recuperating. It's literally reviving itself because it hasn't slept properly. So that's why the first couple of Fajrs are hard. I just want to let you know it happens. That's what I'm trying to say. It happens. Grow up. We need to grow up and grow stronger. That's it. It happened. Get up and get moving. Make it up right away and go on with your day. Okay? The Prophet ﷺ said that there's no fault in sleep. Okay? Allah Akbar, there's no fault in sleep. The Prophet ﷺ said the fault is when you decide to stay up till 2 a.m. and think I'm going to wake up at 4 a.m. That's not going to happen. The Prophet ﷺ said the fault is in waking up in your wakeful state, not in your sleep. Sleep is from Allah. But you should know how much sleep you need. Okay? And we're just not aware of how much sleep we needed. So the Prophet ﷺ tells us, look, if it happened, look, the best of all Allah Ta'ala's slaves are those that make tawbah. Allah Ta'ala just wants us to make tawbah. Allah Ta'ala forgives all sins. He forgives all sins. Remember that. If you screwed up after Ramadan, Allah will forgive it. Allah will forgive it. So this crash, and remember this, Jannah and Jahannam both have sinners. Jannah has sinners and Jahannam has sinners. Jannah has the sinners that made tawbah. And Jahannam has the sinners that did not make tawbah. So just remember that. Everyone is a sinner. You're not going to dodge that reality. We're all gunagar. We're all, I tell people, when I have like students that come for like spirituality stuff, I tell them, every day tell yourself, I am a scumbag. Just as a word to the, like, I'm a loser. I'm a total loser. Every day tell yourself that. Wake up every morning and tell yourself, look yourself in the mirror. I'm a person that always does wrong. I'm a person that always messes up. Because why? Because if you acknowledge the reality, then alhamdulillah, if you mess up, you're like, okay, it happened, it's fine. And you get up better, you get up stronger, right? That's the thing. If you think you're a champion, a person on the Olympics, every single time, what's going to happen is when you start to fail even a little bit, you just hate yourself. Don't do that. Don't do that. You're a person that will make mistakes. The Prophet ﷺ said though, but this is the thing. If you make a mistake, the Prophet ﷺ said, follow up a bad deed with a good one. Because that will erase the bad deed. By you just doing a good deed, that bad deed will be eliminated, it will be removed from your book of deeds. So now, let's say a person misses Fajr. Then the next morning when they wake up, make up the Fajr right away, and then pray 2 rakat and say, Ya Allah, forgive me. Then what will happen? You never missed the Fajr. As if it never existed. Allah Ta'ala's delete button is so powerful that He will make the bed, He will make the blankets, He will make the room forget that you missed the Fajr. So on the Day of Judgment, no one will remember you missed it. The only one who will remember is who? Allah. Even the angels on your shoulders will forget. So on Qiyamah, Allah will remind you, like, hey, by the way, remember we missed that Fajr after Ramadan? He's like, yeah, I did, ya Allah. He's like, don't worry, I replaced it with a good deed. Like, oh wow, Allah, I missed a lot of Fajrs. Can I get more? And so that's what a person will feel. Allah Ta'ala says this too. So, and this is something that we should have a habit of. And I saw this in certain ulama's houses. They start their sadaqah jariyah with a sadaqah jar. They start the sadaqah jariyah with a sadaqah jar. They have a jar, like they have like a swear jar. Like Christians have like a swear jar. We should have a sawab jar. Right? We have a swab jar. So what happens is what? That when we end up making guna, making a mistake, just put $1 in there. Say this will go to so-and-so madrasa. Okay? All right, $5 in there, right? And once it fills up, you just give it in sadaqah to whoever the donations is. And mashallah, if you thought you couldn't give sadaqah before, look how many sins we commit in a day. That thing will be full like in a week. Right? So just give it away, inshallah, and then you'll see that whatever sins, inshallah, Allah will forgive them. Because why? Because every single time, immediately you're like, oh, one more. Okay, wife, I hate you so much. One more, and you're like this. One more, and then you're like, okay, it's full now. Let's get a second jar. Right, so we can easily, inshallah, whatever sins we do, we can counterbalance it by doing a good deed, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, so now after all of this, what should we do next? Okay, so now recognizing that first of all, Ramadan, you can never be like that outside. Okay, remember that. Second thing is what? I will make a mistake eventually. I will make a mistake. The third thing is what? That if I make a sin, I'm not supposed to give up. What should I do? Make 2 rakats, do some ibadah, and just get up and get going. Okay? Now what should I do next? And this is the thing. And mashallah, there's smart goals, right? Smart goals, right? Smart goals are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. Specific goals. Make a specific goal. Make a measurable goal. Make an attainable goal. Don't say I'm going to do 10 khatams in a day. Can anyone do that? Not outside of Ramadan. Okay? If you're going to do something, make it measurable and realistic. Make it realistic. And make it timely. Timely means you're going to do it now. Specific means what? I'm going to make it a specific amount of Quran that I'm going to read every single day. So measure out your goals. And I want everyone to do it by time. By time. Schedule it in your day, 15, 20, 25 minutes. That's all you need. Really, that's all you need. For maintenance on the car, you just have to get a checkup, right? That's all you have to do. This is the same thing. For your body, for your spirituality, just 15, 20 minutes every day reading Quran. You'll be the most pious person from this Ramadan to the next, inshallah. If you can just maintain this. What is the maintenance? 15, 20 minutes every day of reading Quran. That's it. Okay, if you want to put it, or I want to do a juz every day, then alhamdulillah, make it the goal of juz. If you want to make it half a juz, make it half a juz. Even if it's a quarter of a juz, whatever you do, do it regularly. Because that's the action. The Prophet ﷺ said the most beloved actions to Allah are those that are done regularly. So even if it's 1 page, a half a page, I'm going to do that every single day. And if you don't want to do based on, how much juz and stuff like that, then 15, 20 minutes, inshallah ta'ala, and then make that a routine. Make that a routine, okay? You want to measure out your goal, make it specific. You read lots of Quran during Ramadan, you can afford 20 minutes of the day. If that's the Quran, what about the fasting? You fasted 30 days of Ramadan. You can fast 2 days outside of Ramadan every single month. Make it, and this is my habit, and just want to share just so that people benefit, is that I say weekends. For me, weekends are the easiest, right? For obvious reasons. On the days off I have, right? I say, okay, those days I want to fast, okay? So now what happens is sometimes you get busy, right? Admittedly so, sometimes the weekend you're off, you're vacationing, whatever. No one's vacationing now, of course. But like, you might be doing something. So then what, next week, following week, I'll just make it up. I'll do the fasting that I promised myself. I'll do it the next week, right? But those 4 weeks should never go in the month except that I did my fasting, okay? Even if it's 1 day in the month. What is 1 day worth in Islam? 10 days. If you do 2 days, we're 20 days. If you do 3 days fasting every single month, 30 days of fasting. The entire year will go and you've always been Ruzadar. You've always been in fasting, mashallah. Okay? We can do the Quran, we can do the fasting. I just encourage everyone, just go to eat at 12 a.m., wake up at like 12 p.m. and just finish the rest of the day, That's a day of fasting, mashallah. I don't want to encourage everyone more, but even the sleeping of a fasting person is ibadah. Allahu Akbar. I can sleep 12 hours, right? MashaAllah, that should motivate and stimulate us, inshallah, to try to do that. And the one last thing that I want everyone to remember in terms of ibadah is Taraweeh, okay? We read Taraweeh with our families, mashallah. Right? This was a very unique Ramadan where we read it with our families, by ourselves even, okay? You can do still 2 rakats with the family at night time. You can still do it. I don't think any alim, Hanafi, non-Hanafi, would tell you that if it's with your family, of course you can pray your tahajjud with your family. No alim will tell you can't, right? There is specific clear hadith that the Prophet ﷺ would encourage families just to pray Jamaat together. So if you had a habit of praying Taraweeh together, now make a habit at 11 p.m. every single night. Please do not say 3 a.m. in the morning. No one is waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning. The only one who's awake is Shaitaan watching you, laughing at you, because he knows you're not going to wake up at 3 a.m. Okay? Make it at 11 p.m. before you go to sleep. Okay? We never suspend our actions on things that are possible. We anchor or suspend our action on things that are concrete. Okay? Like if you're putting something to hang on the wall, you're going to look for a beam, right? Because if the beam is not strong enough, it can't hold it, right? So why are you suspending your tahajjud on sleep? Sleep is very, very variable. You don't know what's going to happen. You can sleep 2 hours, you can sleep 5 hours, you can sleep 12 hours. You don't know. Rather than that, say 11 p.m. every night, we're all going to pray as a family tahajjud. It's tahajjud. I'm not lying. The Prophet ﷺ said, pray tahajjud 2 rakats after Isha, even if it's quick as the milking of a goat. Anything after Isha is tahajjud. So pray 2 rakats with your family, mashallah. You see the bond of, and I brought hadith for this, right? So when a man wakes up in the middle of the night, hadith Abu Dawood, he wakes up his wife and they pray 2 rakats together. The Prophet ﷺ said they will both be recorded amongst the men and women who remember Allah Ta'ala often. ذَاكِرِينَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا وَالذَّاكِرَاتِ. If a person, a husband and a wife pray together in Jamaat, they'll become from those who remember Allah Ta'ala abundantly. You'll get the title on the day of Jamaat. You are Zakir, you're someone who remembers Allah. And what's another hadith, which is an amazing one? The Prophet made dua. He said, Ya Allah, have mercy on the person, on the man who wakes up at night, who stands up at night to pray. It's just standing up at night to pray. And he wakes up his wife to pray. And if she refuses, he sprinkles water on her face to get her up. Right? Then they pray together. And may Allah have mercy on a wife who stands up at night to pray and wakes up her husband to pray too. And if he refuses, she sprinkles water on his face. And I put a disclaimer on this hadith every time I narrate it, because I'm not responsible for any fights that happen. I will completely skip this water phase and just tell you what, just before you go to sleep, just make the tahajjud, please. Don't cause any carnage, any violence in the house. Okay, we don't have quarantine killing us, Corona killing us outside. We don't want it on the inside too. So inshallah, remember this. I put a Ramadan a countdown to Ramadan. How many weeks do we have till Ramadan? 50 weeks left. 2 weeks have gone. It's like tomorrow. I don't know if you realize, but this Ramadan came out of nowhere for me. It came so quickly. Even with the quarantine, it felt like it was so quick, right? The year just went by. And every year is going to come back quicker. You should make shukr to Allah. Alhamdulillah, I'm glad it's coming back faster. Because why? So that way I can experience Ramadan faster. So now tell ourselves 50 weeks. Watch every single week, the countdown is going to go down. Now 49 weeks, now 40 weeks, now 30 weeks. And you say, oh my God, Ramadan is coming. It's getting really, really nerve-wracking. So now you're getting ready. You're anticipating it. You're getting excited. That's how we should be, inshallah. Okay? So now the final thing that I want everyone just to listen to, inshallah, the last thing, inshallah, about this Ramadan, post-Ramadan crash. I hope, inshallah, again, that we clarified our understanding and we have a good plan, a routine that we want to do, inshallah, so that the entire year goes by in ibadah and that we are ready for the next Ramadan. The last thing, if you might come up and say, Shaykh, it makes sense. Okay, fine. It makes sense that sometimes we make sins, sometimes up and down the entire year. That's fine. Then what is Ramadan for then? Like if we're just going to do ibadah up in Ramadan and then screw up again and do it again and screw up again, what's the point of Ramadan? What is the test of Ramadan? What is Ramadan for? Okay? And I want everyone to understand what Ramadan is for. How do you know if you pass Ramadan? How do you know if you passed Ramadan? Number one is when Shaitaan makes you angry again after Ramadan. If Shaitaan makes you angry again and you're able to control yourself, now you know you attained what Ramadan came for. Because now your nafs, your desires have become lower, they become weaker. The Prophet ﷺ said that the strong one is not the one who wrestles. The strong one is that when he's angry or she's angry, she can control herself. So you know you become a strong person after Ramadan when you can control yourself. None of these things are related to ibadah on the outside of worship. Ramadan just came for you to increase your thawab with Allah. Really. And then it came to control your inside, your internal state. So now you can control yourself when you get angry. That's number one. Then the end of the ayah of Ramadan, what is it? وَلِتُكَبِّرُوا اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا هَدَاكُمْ. Then now you consider Allah Ta'ala to be great in your life. You consider Allah Ta'ala to be great in your life. Now you're thinking about when the time for Isha comes in, what is the first thought for a Muslim? When Isha comes in. It's Isha time, right? Okay, it's 11 p.m. I have to do my tahajjud, right? When I think about the time that I have in the day, I'm only thinking about what Allah Ta'ala is telling me to do at that time. Now, every single moment in my life, now when I see like something haram, like astaghfirullah, made that haram, right? And then when you see your children, alhamdulillah, Allah give me children. Everything now is linking back to Allah. This is how you know if Ramadan is effective. If you are thinking about Allah Ta'ala more, that means your Ramadan is being accepted by Allah. That's the sign of your Ramadan being accepted, that you're thinking about Allah Ta'ala more. Your life is about Allah. You gave preference to Allah. Some brothers, mashallah, are still coming for the Jama'ah, and I encourage it, mashallah. I thought about the hadith, Ahabbul biladi ilallahi masajiduha. The Prophet said the most beloved places to Allah are the masajid. If I replace the word ahabbu with essential, the most essential places in all the world to Allah Ta'ala are the masajid. And mashallah, the brothers that are coming in this time are making a sacrifice like the Sahaba made sacrifices. And may Allah reward you. You gave your time to Allah. You think Allah Ta'ala won't give you back? If we dealt with people, I would at least pay the bad guy back for what he did for me, People are always saying, akhirah, akhirah, akhirah. Allah will give you an akhirah. But I would deal with someone, if someone dealt with me in cash, I deal with them in cash, Why do you think your Lord is so great? You think He's going to deal with you in credit? He's going to deal with you in cash. He'll give you things now. Just say, Allah, I did it. Allah, give me. Allah will give. Allah loves to give. Okay? So now when people are going about worried and things like that, alhamdulillah, your Islam guided you. You can be happy through it. And the final thing that, inshallah, that you know that your Ramadan is accepted by Allah is that وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. Allah Ta'ala says the purpose of Ramadan is that you become grateful to Allah. Okay? So now we have to ask ourselves, are we grateful for the food? Are we grateful for the home? Are we grateful for the family? Are we grateful for the fact that, alhamdulillah, no one from my family got hit with corona? Alhamdulillah, am I not grateful to Allah? That, mashallah, He gave me a Ramadan. People don't even have Ramadan. All these ulama passed away in Ramadan. They totally deserve Ramadan more than you and I. They really did. But they passed away in Ramadan. You and I got Ramadan. Are we grateful to Allah? Alhamdulillah, we have an Eid, mashallah, in Burlington specifically, we had an Eid in Jamar. I don't think, like, you can count on your hands about how many people or how many masajid in all of America had that ni'mah. Probably in the world, like, it's just so few places. Make shukr to Allah. He gave us so much. Like, why are we not grateful to Allah? Thank Allah. If you are more grateful to Allah, okay, mashallah, you're a great ball player, whatever, mashallah, thank Allah. Alhamdulillah, right? You make the 3-pointer, alhamdulillah, Allah Akbar. Takbir, right? And then shoot the ball in, mashallah. It's thanking Allah Ta'ala for these things, okay? And so, mashallah, the final thing, inshallah, and then we'll give it for questions. Ibn Ata'illah, rahimahullah ta'ala, said, and I wanted just for everyone to reflect on this. He said, when you commit a sin, Ibn Ata'illah said, when you made a sin, he says, like, when you commit a sin, he's a great shaykh of the past. He said, let it not be a reason for you to despair. That you think that I can never be someone with istiqamah. That you think I'll never become someone who's consistent with Allah. I commit sins, right? Ibn Ata'illah rahimahullah says, never let it be a reason for you to despair that you made a sin. That I'll never become a good person. He says, why? Because perhaps that is the last sin that Allah Ta'ala wrote for you. That's the last sin in your life that Allah Ta'ala wrote for you. So that's it. You're not going to commit any more sins. You're done. Okay? A time will come. Maybe 50, 60, 70 years old where we become like, alhamdulillah, like proper buzurg with like the big beard and everything, mashallah. We're actually coming to the masjid for the sake of Allah. We become that level. A time will come, inshallah, where you live life with like, you're very, very cautious. Where that fajr you won't miss after Ramadan. It just won't happen anymore. But just right now, it's going to happen because we're still going through the process. And we have to be patient with the process. This is Allah's process. Okay? Don't worry about those things, inshallah. Allah Ta'ala, don't beat yourself up. Don't fight yourself. Don't, because Shaitan's already beating you up. If you're beating yourself too, then, and Corona's beating you on the outside, like you're getting beat up from all over places, right? Your dad is beating you up, your mom is beating you up, everyone's beating you up. So don't beat yourself up, okay? Relax, okay? Ramadan, and mashallah, as Muslims, I think everyone here can agree that Ramadan kind of feels like Eid for us, It's a very happy time. And that's mashallah a sign that Ramadan is being accepted by Allah, because we love Ramadan. And Eid actually feels like Ramadan sometimes, right? It feels like really like strangling, like I didn't want it to end. It's a good sign from Allah. Perhaps Allah is accepting our Ramadans. The point of life was to continue living, okay? And it's natural to drop, and it is also natural that sometimes you'll crash. Completely fine, okay? But it's never excuse to give up. It was never excuse to give up. We ask Allah Ta'ala, inshallah, for tawfiq, that when we do drop and crash, we can get right back up again. We be like the boxer who gets hit once or twice, and he's on the mat, and he gets up again and again and again to fight Shaitan. And remember, inshallah, that regret, recover, and return. And Shaitan is only there, if you're wondering like why does Allah keep sending back Shaitan? He's only there to make you better. Really, his creation is just for you to get better. You're going to improve because you're fighting him all the time. Eventually you're going to beat the heck out of him. He's not going to be able to stand up anymore. He's going to give up. I mean it. There's certain slaves of Allah Ta'ala that Shaitan just doesn't do it. Ask Mullah Osman. Okay? Like there are people that Shaitan just doesn't even deal with anymore because it's like, I can't do anything to him. Right, so remember that he's gonna make you better. He's like he's your training guide. All right, you made me screw up Fajr one time. I'm not gonna make that happen again. You get stronger. Be ready for the match. Grab the bull by the horns. May Allah give us all tawfiq, inshallah. Muhammad if there are any questions, inshallah, we'll give. We have like 10 minutes. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Anything? You can put in the chat box if you want to also put in the chat box because you don't want to ask in person, inshallah. I just want to open it up because I know a community doesn't really get a chance sometimes to meet. So inshallah, within the chat box, if you can ask a question, that's fine, inshallah. Sure. Yeah.
And getting comfortable in Jamar and becoming a habit.
Yeah.
So inshallah, we need to go back to our norm thing. Come back to the masajid, because masajid are open for daily prayer. So what should we do on individual levels and community levels so people will come out of the fear or comfort zone? Mostly not fear, but now we're getting actually comfortable.
Comfortable, yeah.
So what should we do to come back?
Okay, it's a very good question, mashallah. The question was, people are getting very comfortable praying Jamar at home. What is something that we can do on the individual and the communal level to basically make our routine, our habit again to come to the masjid? So the first thing when I spoke to some brothers was that I noticed that a lot of them are actually just a little scared, right? So the first thing is actually building confidence. I'm pretty sure everyone felt it too, like coming into the masjid doors again, felt like a very weird experience, okay? And I want everyone to be like really sure, alhamdulillah, in our masjid, mashallah, we have such great brothers that and such great community members that they're trying their best to make sure this place is sanitized and is taken care of, We try our best, and alhamdulillah, everyone's wearing masks, right? Except for imams up here and there, because whatever. right? But like, alhamdulillah, we're doing our best as a community. We're doing our best to make sure that this place is safe for you, okay? We want to make sure, again, it's Allah's right that He be worshipped, okay? So our job is to make sure the masjid is open for people to worship, okay? We have no right to deny a person access to this place. Allah Ta'ala says the worst, the most oppressive person, the person who did the most wrong in the world, someone who stopped the doors of the masjid to be open, right? We make dua to Allah, we never become people who shut the masjid doors, inshallah. As for the individual level, have some himmah, inshallah. You know, your salah and jama'ah, everyone's waiting for you. I don't want to start bringing out the hadith about the Prophet about what he said about people praying jama'ah at home, right? But if you have a masjid now, if you don't have a masjid in your community, that's a different story. If you have a masjid in your community now, come for the jama'ah. Okay, come for the jama'ah. Admittedly, so there are certain jama'ats in the day that we can't make because of certain things, whatever jama'ats you can make. I will start with one jama'ah a day. On the individual level, one jama'ah a day. Make it Isha, make it Maghrib, whatever it might be, convenient prayer. Make it easy for come on, stop making it too hard. Make it easy for us. Everyone chooses Fajr. Why are you choosing Fajr? Even I don't choose Fajr. You know, like I'd rather just choose Isha. Isha is a very nice prayer. You know, most prayer is like 12, 15 minutes, but mashallah, it's okay. Alhamdulillah, I get away for the dua, I run away real quick, you know. But like, alhamdulillah, you come early, you know, come for the salah, inshallah, whatever salah is convenient for you. So for the communal level, alhamdulillah, we're trying to do our best here. And for the individual level, inshallah, remember the rewards of praying in Jama'ah. Remember, alhamdulillah, now it's not an excuse to just pray at home. The reward of the Jama'ah is in the masjid. It is in the masjid 27 times. It is in the masjid, inshallah. Come for one salah a day. And Allah give us all tawfiq. Any other questions? I did want to address, if you can think about a question, just one brief question that keeps coming up about like, why didn't we allow sisters to come? Right? And it's a very important question that people are like, oh, why didn't you allow them for Jummah and Eid and things like that, okay? And mashallah, I understand the concern. Alhamdulillah, I'm glad people are concerned. It shows that people are awake, right? They're trying to know and understand. So I want you all first and foremost, just, alhamdulillah, since we have a couple of minutes, it's gonna take a few minutes to explain it. So my own perspective always about when it comes to sisters coming to the masjid is that I always, alhamdulillah, want that sisters come for programs, sisters come for, you know, for halaqas, sisters come for learning. I always open up, whenever we have any ilm program, right, I always open up for sisters. There's never been one, I think, that I just said, oh, only brothers only. I always wanted the sisters to be participating because that's the amana. It's a responsibility of this ummah that we teach our sisters as well. It's the inheritance of the Prophet ﷺ. It's not exclusive to a gender, okay? And I try my best, mashallah, I think in a couple of years, you know, even now, you know, I used to just pull the partition in the back to make it a little bigger for the sisters, right? And now, mashallah, the entire back hall is for them during maktab, right? Alhamdulillah, let's make shukr to Allah. That's how it should be. That we have separation for men and women, and mashallah, the sisters can move around freely, you know? And alhamdulillah, I think as Burlington, as a community, we probably have the most sisters in any community that come regularly for the prayers, regularly for anything, mashallah. Our halaqas, alhamdulillah, have so many, you know? And I know there is a lot of push and pull, always. Our communities have people that really don't want any brothers sisters at all, and certain brothers and sisters that are like free, like, oh, make them everything, let's party in the masjid and whatever, right? We have to find a good middle ground, right? We have to try to find a balance. The hadith of the Prophet is clear that you don't, Prophet said, never don't prohibit the women of the female slaves of Allah for coming to the masajid. It's hadith of the Prophet, it's authentic. No one denies that, okay? Of course, our ulama have found certain reasons for them not to come, whatever, throughout the years, whatever it might be. But the general rule of the Prophet was what? That you keep it open, okay? You keep it open. Now, why is it the case then that, oh, Mullah, you're saying all this stuff. Why is it that you didn't allow them to come for Jummah and Eid? And I'm telling you, it's just logistics. It's just simply logistics, right? It's simply logistics. We just don't have enough space. We just don't have enough space. I mean it. If you came for the Khatam of the Quran, remember the Khatam dua? The masjid was packed. It's amazing. Other communities, when they opened up, no one came. But when we opened up, I was surprised that the entire masjid was packed again because people were just craving to come to the masjid. Then that Jummah we had in Ramadan was so packed. We needed three jama'ats, right? We need 3 jama'ats in order to accommodate everyone. And if that was the case for Ramadan and Jummah, and then what happened in Eid? We literally had no space for all the jama'ats that we had. Okay, this is just a logistics issue. This is a logistics issue. I want everyone to remember that it's just a logistics issue. Mind you, that in our madhab, Eid is wajib for men and Jummah is fard for men. If we give one spot to one sister, I'm just saying, if we give one spot to one sister and her salah is recommended for her, but it's not a fard. If she doesn't pray Jummah, there's no sin on her. But if a man misses Jummah, he's sinful by Allah. You know the hadith, right? If a person misses 3 Jummahs in a row, Allah will seal his heart. Who's going to pay for that? Right? So, and I mean it, other masajid have this thing where what they did was what? They allowed 40 men and 45 men and 15 sisters. Then they reduced the amount of sisters because they needed more brothers to participate. So that's the thing, like, what we're doing here is just merely because of logistics. I don't want anyone to think anything else. We just don't have enough space right now. We make dua to Allah. Alhamdulillah, we're seeing the development, and possibly because other masajid are opening up again, then inshallah we can have our sister space again, inshallah. And then we can have our sisters come. But just right now, I just ask sisters, you're making a sacrifice. You're making a sacrifice. Your salah that you're praying of dhuhr every single day or every single Friday now, that salah you're making of dhuhr will be more rewarding than the Jummah. Wallahi is more rewarding than the Jummah. The Prophet ﷺ said that a woman's salah in her own house is better than the salah that she makes behind the Prophet ﷺ. Okay? If you're praying in Masjid Nabawi is 50,000 times. Praying behind the Prophet ﷺ, the woman praying at home is even greater than that. So mashallah, you're making a sacrifice for this one brother so that he can get his Jummah done too. Just please be patient, inshallah. We will definitely, as soon as the situation looks much better, we're ready for phase 2, phase 3. Masjid has phase 2, phase 3 too. Right? We're trying our best, inshallah, to get the space back. But for now, just make sabr and make dua that Allah Ta'ala gives us afiyah and tawfiq. And nothing more than logistics. Please don't call it like they don't know Sharia, they don't know Deen. Ya Allah, I studied Deen Sharia for 6, 7 years under prime ulama. Like that's all we've been studying. That's the only thing I know. I don't know anything on computers. Someone asked me what the heck is a RAM. I'm like, isn't that something you sacrifice on Qurbani? Like that's all we know. So please, inshallah, don't think we're not doing something. We never do. I don't want to stand behind against Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam on Qiyamah. We'll never do something against Deen. If the Deen allowed it, then that's why we're doing it, just for logistic purposes, inshallah. May Allah give us all tawfiq. I'm sorry, we went over time. If anyone has any other questions, please email the masjid, and whatever you have, inshallah, we'll definitely address it. May Allah give us all tawfiq. May Allah allow us that we benefit every single day, like the year like Ramadan, and give us nights like Laylatul Qadr, and give us Eid, the day that we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah.